I'm Deborah Atkinson. You're listening to She Means Fitness Business, a division of my overarching business, Voice for Fitness. And here at Voice for Fitness, we know that you want to be an inspirational example to other midlife women. And in order to do that, we all need a profitable health and fitness business so that we have the power. Now, I don't care if you want to give it away, if you're not comfortable making money or stating that you want it, but some of us actually want to create a lifestyle, freedom of time and freedom of money for our family and loved ones. And that, my friend, is also okay. No matter what, you deserve consistent, dependable revenue from clients you love. And I understand exactly how it feels to have the knowledge, to have the heart and desire to help and not yet have clients or enough revenue coming in. I started over at 49 and literally went from 0 to 6-figure months. And I know that it can be done. I know that you can do it if you decide. So first, what I normally do with clients is meet with you. We decide what's happening. We get you more clients, help you make sure you're getting more profit, and third, guard your time. So you do have that freedom of time that we all want. If you feel right now is the time for you to have a private business coach who's been there, done that, what it is that you want to do, reach out to me. But before you do, I want you to grab the business scorecard I created for health and fitness pros just like you. If you're getting started and there are things in your business missing, you can't skip ahead. These are things that have to be in place for what we call a funnel, the place where you start, where clients find you, where you attract them. They come to you and they want more information, and then the next step and the next step. If anything is missing, this will be broken and you will struggle to start, let alone grow your business. I'm going to put the link to get that in today's show notes. And you are going to want to buckle your seatbelt because this is a fantastic show. If you're struggling at all with Instagram specifically, but with social media in general, much of this will apply. And you are going to want to go and follow my guest. The difference between social media success and a lot of time on social media without success is having a social media marketing strategy. No contest. Like, how often do you post? How many hashtags do you use? How do you know which hashtags to use? Where do you put the hashtags? Which metrics or insights are most important to you? Do you know the answers to those questions? If you have a strategy, you do know the answers to these. My guest today provides insight at the perfect time. Start the new year with information that is going to help you knock it out of the park in this coming year. Make a change for 3 months. Assess your insight data and pivot or double down. And you will hear that's not a suggestion to wait and look at your insights for 3 months. You have the opportunity to watch over my guest's shoulder, as you should be with any social media expert. We did a recent podcast episode with Subi Zimmerman, and you should be paying attention to that one too. And you watch with a critical eye, not just what they're saying, but what they're doing. It's a golden opportunity for you. How often do they post? How often do they make a call to action? How often do they post in a story? If you realize they aren't after being an influencer as much as getting clients to, it changes everything. We actually distinguish in the show what's the difference between an influencer and a business. Do you know which one you are? You'll find out. Listen to the very end to hear the rapid fire questions that I ask her to. And if you are interested in our WELLPROS mastermind and mentorship, because I have this top of mind just yesterday, the day before doing this podcast recording with Yesenia, we had a question come up about posting and scheduling in advance or doing it on the fly. And one person asked, but everyone chimed in on how hard it is to keep up, how far in advance they post, that they don't post in advance, that they are organized and know what is going to be posted, but they do it in real time. There was such a cascade of answers that we really realized there are still a lot of lingering questions about whether we are getting the most from it. And my guest today nailed that in the very beginning. So if you're interested in joining that WellPros mastermind and mentorship in order to kickstart your business and to be with like-minded professionals, a community of coaches just like you, as well as me, a coach who's gone from 0 to 6-figure months, then I will put the link for that in the show notes so you can check that out. But if nothing else, today should feel a bit like a mastermind for you. Imagine your immigrant parents uprooting you in high school at 16 and moving to a brand new high school. My guest, Yesenia Lara Garcia, grew up in Phoenix and Flagstaff, Arizona, and attended Northern Arizona University studying strategic communications and PR. She's been an associate producer at Fox 10 News, while simultaneously she juggled roles of mother, wife, beginning exploring creation content or content creation, shall we say, and became a notable influencer. Her passion, very possibly your nemesis, is social media. She started her current business, Social Outfit Marketing, to empower businesses and influencers to stand out on social media with custom strategies, creative content, and engaging copy. And she is the most positive person with a face that actually belongs in front of the camera, not behind it. And you are going to love this. Be sure you stay again till the end because of this social media strategy interview. I ask her some rapid fire questions that you should know the answers to as well. Let's dive in. Yesenia, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be a part of this episode. Thank you for the invitation.
Well, yeah. And you're a part of the party. So really, all of our fitness pros and health coaches, this is potentially their nemesis. Like everybody wants to be good at marketing, but not everybody is. And then you go to do it and you're like, I don't know the results and is it worth it? So let's talk about all of it, how they know it would be worth it. And let's do a couple of things. So in the bio, talking about your business and why you started it, you actually have a couple of things. Is there a difference between an influencer or a business? Or, okay, so you serve me, no secret. So we'll just let the cat out of the bag. The reason my reels are so good lately is not because I stepped it up. It's because she stepped me up. So am I an influencer or am I a business or am I both? How do you distinguish if there is one?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I personally think that there is a huge difference between an influencer and a business. An influencer, to me, is somebody who represents other brands aside from yourself, meaning you're putting out there what you like about brand A, brand B. So you don't have like one specific brand that you represent. You represent different brands. So like for my personal page, I'm all about fashion. So when I and I'm very careful about it, there's influencers who, sad to say, they don't do their research and they just collaborate with anyone. And I feel like at the beginning, a lot of influencers tend to do that. They collaborate with all these different brands without looking at what they stand for or what they, bring to the table first, because you're trying to build up your resume as an influencer. But an influencer to me is somebody who, like I said, represents different brands. So if they let's just say if you're one of the bigger influencers, okay, and you I'm just going to throw out a name, Lululemon, and you represent them. And then there's another influencer who represents Aloe. It's just, that's what the influencer does, is you're kind of like their ambassador or their face. You give out reviews on videos or posts and what you actually think. Hopefully they're being genuine and they do say give out a real review about what they're posting about. And a business on the on the other side, you're representing yourself, your brand. What are you about? So instead of being, I have this phrase that I really like, and it's, are you on social media or do you use social media? To me, somebody who is on social media is, you're just posting to stay active. But if you're using social media, then you're getting the best out of it. You know what you're doing, you're educating your followers, and you kind of have an idea of what your main goal is with every single post that you do. When you're a business, you should know that. You should have that very clear as to what is your goal with every content that you're putting out, at every post, every carousel, every video. What is your goal with each one of them?
That was such a great answer. Oh my gosh. Okay. I feel like this is going to be mic drop after mic drop. So uh, I'm going to hold my praise for that and say, well, that was a mic drop moment, because I feel like I'm going to repeat myself over and over today.
I got you. Don't worry about it.
That was so good. And gosh, I want to say that as a business, I keep getting approached, and you just helped me make decisions a whole lot easier. And, for the most part, I will say this, but I also will say something else. For the most part, it's pretty easy for me to respond and say, hey, thanks for thinking about me, but this really takes me off of my brand mission. Thank you. And so it's positive, but no thanks. But sometimes, like, I'm a product whore. It's like, yes, I want those tights. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Send me those. Because usually I'm like, no, we don't do that anymore. Like, if you want to do some sponsorship, I can talk about that. But obviously, I don't want anything that's going to take somebody off of the game of focusing on what I want them to focus on. It's just, it's interesting how you can flirt. You can be a business, and yet you could flirt with being an influencer. But now you've made it so much easier for me to say, wait a minute, that's not what I would want to do. I want to always be talking about us and our programs and the things that people need to know before they make a good decision to work with us. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. You just have to, like I said, you just have to be careful, because I did that in the beginning where I was like, oh my God, like free clothes. Why not? Like I want it all. And then I was getting some outfits that I was like, this is so not me. And some of my followers were noticing, saying like, hey, where are you going to use this? And I would give them out, and they'd be like, why are you giving them out? So they started questioning. And that's when I started questioning, like, why am I promoting this clothes when, one, I'm not even using it because it doesn't go with what my fashion sense is, what my style is. But it was in the beginning, I feel like you get caught up into that, building the resume as an influencer, and you kind of just say yes to everything. But little by little, you start to notice certain things, and you learn, and then you get comfortable with saying, you know what, that doesn't flow with my brand. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to deny, but maybe we can collaborate in a different way moving forward if something changes on your end or my end.
Yeah, that is such a good answer. So listeners, I hope you really got that, because that was gold. Like, how to leave the door open. Like, you're not saying no forever. You're saying no, not right now, or no, not to this particular offer. That's cool. Yeah. Very cool. Okay. So I want to step back for a minute. And this is kind of meta, because many of the people that are listening are in some degree of starting their business. Either they've been doing it for a while, but maybe it hasn't grown to the capacity that they want it to, or literally they're still kind of wet behind the ears and getting into it. And in the exciting part of really dreaming about what I want it to be, but it's not yet. Why and how did you start your business? Because, I mean, being an associate producer for Fox 10 TV, I mean, that's kind of an impressive title.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think for me, it was lifestyle and what I wanted to do with my family and how I felt restricted in a way. I am so grateful for the opportunity that I got right out of college to start working with Fox 10 News as an associate producer. That is huge. I learned so much. I would do it again. If I had the opportunity to stay longer, I probably would have. But I think it was a certain point in my life where personally what I was going through and just the work itself was not aligning. At that point, I was working the graveyard shift.
Mm,
And get this, at Fox, we have people who have been working there for over 40 years. So the turnover rate is very low, which is amazing, right?
yeah.
But for people who are starting out and they have a shift that nobody likes, and it was taking a toll on my body and my health.
Hmm.
And it was one of those things where it's like, do I stay here and I know that I can further my career, or do I look at what my body is telling me, how I'm feeling, and do I do something that I am very passionate about and see where this goes? So I think for me, the decision, it wasn't easy because I absolutely love journalism. And I say that I'm a journalist at heart because for me, storytelling is everything. Uh, but like I said, I had to listen to where I was at in life mainly. And that's when I decided that I wanted to do something that was going to give me that freedom to have the time to spend more time with my family itself, and how I wanted to go about turning my passion into my business. And that's where we're at today.
So good. That is awesome. And I think a lot of our listeners can totally resonate with that. I mean, the freedom and the flexibility are probably even before money, come
Yeah.
as this is a reason I want to start my own business, because I think, you think, or I know I did. And I jokingly used to say, I thought if I spent that 60 to 80 hour, very flexible job that I had on my own business, that I would be further down the road.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, you have such a flexible job. I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's the flexible 60 to 80 hours. It's a lot,
Yeah.
you know?
So yeah, and I think a lot of people say that, like, oh my God, you have so freedom, you get to do whatever you want, but it's not how it sounds. Like I go on, I just came back from a vacation, and what it was my mom's birthday last Wednesday. And really early, I think I woke up like at 6 a.m. and I started doing some work that I had yet to finish. And my sister comes down the stairs and she goes, how are you working and why are you working right now? You never have a break, like you're always working. And I said, yeah, this is what having your own business does to you. Like you have the freedom, but you also don't have the freedom because you have to do
Hmm.
certain things at all times. So it's not a 9 to 5, but it's a all day and night and whenever you have, because you have to meet your own deadlines. And I am very,
Hmm.
very strong about that. Like I set my deadlines and I have to finish them. Otherwise, they'll be like on my head all day long.
Yeah, yeah, totally get it. And I think too, for many of us, I mean, we have to, you and I have talked about this, right? Well, you were at
Yeah.
my house. We have to know to draw our own boundaries and say,
Yeah.
I do have to say no. Like I used to have to tell myself midnight to midnight, at least one weekend day. No, no phone calls, no internet. It's not work related at all. It's just me, even if I wanted to, like, even if I felt like I've got this creative idea, I
Yeah.
just had to keep myself from doing it. Because if you don't let yourself have that white space, you pretty soon can't create the art that should be happening. I
Yes.
know I've felt that for sure.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at. I'm trying to find that balance between, like I said, this was a whole reason. So I'm still, trying to find that balance to it. It's like, okay, I need to disconnect
Yeah.
from at least, a couple hours after dinner or before dinner or whatever, what you have.
Yeah, for sure. I remember what woke me up finally is so I was fairly recently divorced. I don't know, 2, 3 years maybe, but I was
Mhm.
kind of juggling a couple of positions, like 3/4 time at a university, and then working also for a gym as the personal training director. And there was no necessarily hours associated with that, but there was commission. So as long as I got my job done, I hit my numbers or exceeded them, it was fine. But in order to do that, I'm the kind of person who's definitely gonna do it. I would do whatever it took. And I always had something on my lap, like I'd be watching TV with my son, but I'd be working.
Yeah.
And he turned to me and he must have been 9 or 10 and he said, "You're always working." And I
Oh
was like,
no.
"Oh, dang it." Busted. Yeah. So that I will
Yeah.
never forget it. That still stings. Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter said that to me. She's 10, and she said that to me when I think she was talking about doing something with her dad. And I said, "Why didn't you ask me?" And then
Mm,
she goes, "Because you're busy, Mom. You're always busy." And I was like,
mm.
"Oh, that sucks."
Ouch. Yes.
Yes. Like, I'm not busy right now. I can do it.
So good. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Okay, so everybody
Yeah.
wants to know. So I'm really asking in a sense so that they too can do it. But obviously, when clients hire you and you're helping them, there probably is going to be some way that they want to measure their ROI. Like, and
Mhm.
it's not just because I don't want to do it. I mean, that's a
Right.
big piece of it.
Yeah.
But, when you want it better, I want it better than if I were to do it. But there's a measure. So how do you measure success for your clients? What are you using for metrics?
So each client is different. Okay. So
Mm,
when I start with a client, and you know this, I have several questions that I have to ask. And the most important one is, what is your goal? What is your main goal with every content that we're going to work on? And that's extremely important because that'll tell me if you're really serious about all the content that we're going to create and we're going to post, or if you're just looking for a viral video and to look, in a sense, popular and famous on Instagram. If that if that is the goal that the client is seeking, then I will not work with them. And I'll tell you why. That's because you're not going to reach the audience that you want. You're going to reach, if you go viral, you're going to reach a ton of people. But if you're a business, what good is that going to do for you if you're not reaching your right audience? For example, your audience, Deborah. Let's just say that one of your videos goes viral and you're the people that saw that video the most are, let's just say, people in their late teens. Is that going to benefit you?
not very much. No.
Yeah. So see, that's what I'm getting at. Like, it's like if they're not into what you're posting, then
Mhm.
it's honestly going to affect you more than anything because okay, the algorithm is always changing. For somebody to say, I've got this narrowed down, this is how it is, this is how your video will go viral, that's a lie
Mm.
because the algorithm is always changing. Um, so if you are making, I kind of lost my train of thought where I was going, but if you're going to be making a video, you want to make sure that you're going to attract the right person because when you have, if you gain, let's say, 10,000 followers or 100,000 followers based off of just one video that went viral, and those followers are not your ideal followers, what Instagram does, it when you post a video, it tries to send that video to as many people as possible and in the beginning, as it's sending it to all these people, it may not be sending it to the right people. So the followers who have been there for a long time with you, or the people who are very interested in what you have to post. So when that happens, it starts sending it to other people who don't care. They don't like it. They don't watch the whole video. They don't comment. None of that stuff. So what happens is your engagement goes down, your reach goes down because Instagram is now thinking that what you're posting is has no value.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I see that quite a bit. I think when people are pivoting and there's content about one thing and then there's content about another thing. And sometimes even when I think necessarily there's a post that's more personal, they're letting people see behind the scenes kind of
Yeah.
who you are as a person. But if they don't link that somehow, they don't tie it to the business or the why
Mhm.
they're doing the business, it seems to be like, okay, wait, there's something that doesn't fit here. You know,
Right.
it's like Sesame Street. Which one of
Yeah.
these doesn't belong here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a fine line with everything. You want to have the four main pillars, which to me are education,
Hmm.
personality.
Hmm.
Um, the other one is your goal
Hmm.
for your social media, and quality with your content, right? So I think with personality comes those videos that you're talking about because people want to know a little bit about you and you don't want to just post every single day kind of like the same thing and it almost comes off as like all you're doing is trying to sell what you're doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Totally.
yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that. So, how often do you have a call to action? And maybe better, as a follow up question, is what should your call to action be? Because I think you're talking about nearly what is just my nemesis on social media is when I see fitness and health pros like post the program starting, like they're posting about here's my program, almost like buy it, to a
Hmm.
very cold audience that are still strangers for the most part.
Hmm.
We'll talk about call to action and what's your recommendation? How do you sprinkle that in?
So you want to be very, I don't know if transparent is the word.
Mhm.
You want to tell people exactly what to do in your call to action.
Mm.
Whether it's give this video a like, a save, a share. You want to be very straightforward with what you want them to do. I don't think you should do a call to action every single post, because then
Mhm.
that comes back to the all you're doing is pushing what your business is.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't like that. Now, you're not going to always please everybody. We know that. So you have to, and because you have new followers, you kind of have to play around a little bit with it, where you give information to your followers who have been there for a while, but you also go back a few times and say, hey, to my new followers, this is what I'm about. Um, Click my website or my link, whatever it is, your call to action, so that they can learn more about who you are. As long as you're very straightforward with your call to action and you don't leave it vague, I think that's the way to go. So if you want to, you and I have talked about many chats. I think that's a great way, even though I don't think you're a huge fan of it.
It's a struggle. Yeah,
Yeah,
for me, it's a tangled mess in my Facebook account. That's why it's not working.
yeah,
Yeah, so we
yes,
haven't even gotten this started. Yeah.
but it is a great feature to use, the many chats, because you can tell people,
Yeah.
instead of saying like click on my bio,
Yeah.
um, you have to start getting more creative with call to actions now. Social media is so saturated with a lot of information, some of it not true. um, so you have to start getting creative with your call to actions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very cool. How often do you use like insights or recommend that a listener does? And which ones are most important? So when you're just looking at, okay, what was my reach this last 7 days compared to the 7 days prior? I mean, is that a legit, they want to look at that, or again, does that really matter? Because if you can't see who followed or who engaged, I mean, what do you know when looking at those insights?
You should be looking at your insights at least once a week. You don't want to be looking at them every single day, because, I mean, the algorithm doesn't even have the chance, I think, to give you correct insights, if you will, because in the back end it's always changing. So I say once a week. If you're very, very new, maybe once a month, but you have to compare what you're posting. So if you're somebody who's starting out and you're starting out strong with 3 to 5 reels a week, um, then you should probably be checking it every week, because you want to compare each video, especially if you're starting out with like testing out, like, hey, I'm going to do a personality video on Mondays. I'm going to do a Q&A on Wednesdays, and I'm going to do, whatever you decide to do on a Friday. You want to compare those three to see which one is doing better, so that for your next strategy, you may want to do more of those. You don't always want to be changing your strategy, but if it works to change it, then you should. Um, as far as insights, when it comes to engagement and reach, I know that sometimes we get caught up in, oh man, this video didn't get many views. But what you should be looking at the most is saves and shares. That's free marketing right there. Because if somebody is sharing your stuff to, whether it's in private to somebody else, that's what you want. You want people sharing your stuff, because that's going to get more eyes on your information, and also potentially more followers, right? So just because you have all these views doesn't mean that that's going to get you followers. It just means that more people saw your video, but they may have or may not have been interested in it. But if somebody's sharing it, then I feel like that's a better lead than a view. And a save, on the other hand, is somebody who may or may not be following you and saves it because they want to come back to it later. So somehow you hook them, and that's what you want to do.
Very cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about like trending post types, if there are such thing, and trending audio. And can trending audio backfire if it's not music that your demographic likes? Kind of alluding to what you mentioned, about if they're not the right followers, what good does that do you?
Yeah, trending audio is very important. The faster you catch a trending audio, they say, the faster or the bigger possibility you have of your video going viral. Again, it just depends on what viral means to you and what your goal is with your content, right? As long as far as sounds, to a certain extent, it really does matter what sounds resonates better with your audience. Okay, so um, let's say that you are posting stuff about rodeo, and I'm just gonna throw this out there. Maybe rodeo people prefer country, okay? But you're posting audio that all the time, and I'm saying this is somebody who's doing this all the time, because just because you like country doesn't mean that you may not like hip hop, okay, or rap or whatever, what have you. And all of your videos are all about rap audios, but you think your audience likes country more, it could affect it. But how do we know exactly what your followers prefer? I think it's the question.
But what's the answer to that question?
You have to look at your insights.
Okay.
Yeah. So compare a couple of your videos that have different audios and see which one did better. And that takes a little bit of like in-depth reading your metrics. It's not something that you can be like, oh, okay, this one has certain amount of likes, this one has certain amount of comments. You really have to read each one and look at the differences of those. To get an exact measurement of insights, you would have to do the exact same video, the exact same movement.
Yeah.
And then the only thing you're changing is the audios. That's one way to measure those, to get exact readings.
Yeah. But even then, I mean, now you're posting in a different week or a different month or maybe on a different day or time. It's all going to be a factor, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So hard. Okay. So let's flip gears. How do you come up with creative ideas? I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, you come over loaded with ideas for me. You're ready to go. It's like, here's what we're doing. Here's what we're doing. I'll be like, I'm doing that. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's all right there. I just have to put my hat on. But you have multiple clients. So how do that's a lot of creativity, girl.
So yeah. You have to kind of learn and understand each client to think, in a sense, what they would like. And that's why I ask you, are you comfortable doing this? Because that also gives me a sense of understanding, okay, she's comfortable doing this or she's not. So now for the next strategy, I have to find a different way to be creative because she may not like this, right? But it's just understanding your client, understanding their business, and giving it a go. And I think so far with you, hopefully, I haven't been too far off when it comes to the creativity. But having a client who shares information prior to me coming up with the creative side of it is very helpful. And you do that. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, it's been really fun and also really good for me, and I think that's like when you're taking a vitamin, it's like, oh, I don't know, that's really fun, but I know I needed that. Like I needed somebody else to think in somebody else's eyes and lens. And that's, I think when, I needed somebody to come at it from a different angle and realize, okay, we need to try some things, not just things that are usual and easy, but to see what happens and be willing to experiment. So I'm super appreciative of you. I have a question on this. And this, again, is really, of course, to answer everybody's question. So is Instagram your primary platform, or do you create content for a cross-platform use. So my question is like, would a reel on Instagram, could it double as a TikTok or a YouTube short, for instance?
You have to understand the demographics of each platform.
Mhm.
TikTok is for the younger generation, like Generation Zs. Um, Instagram is millennials and maybe some Generation Zs and some Generation X. Facebook is definitely, and I did polls on this. Okay, this is how I know because I have done several polls. Facebook is more for Generation X and baby boomers. So it depends on what your audience is, who are the people that you're trying to hook with your content, and then you go from there. Do I cross post some stuff for some of my clients? Yes, to Facebook. Um, TikTok is a whole different monster.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And yet you would not for like YouTube shorts?
I am not knowledgeable enough with YouTube Shorts. Can I do it? Probably. I feel like maybe it's not as different as it is on Instagram, but I
Mhm.
haven't looked into it much. I haven't studied it much. When I
Mhm.
started my career, will you say, with Instagram as an influencer, I did a lot of research. And with Facebook as well, because I used to have a show on Facebook. So I did a lot of research on those two platforms. I haven't done so for YouTube. So that's something that would be a challenge for me
Yeah.
to move forward with. Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. And I think for everybody listening, maybe just a sigh of relief to know that, you know, if you've got one platform and you're really working on nailing it, it's better probably than to just spread things out because you have it and be everywhere. I mean, I would consider
Yeah.
go deep on one, be really good on one, find the one, or don't choose because you like it, but choose because that's
Yeah.
where your customers are.
Right.
What
Right.
what mistakes do you see made most often? I mean, I would imagine because this is what you do, just like I go to the gym and I'm like, so want to walk up to somebody and give them a tip. I mean, but I don't. I mean, what do you see going on in timelines that you're just like, oh, that was just off? What mistakes are most common?
Okay, so before I answer that, can I backtrack just a little bit with the
Sure.
video and cross posting? I
Yeah.
think you made a great point. I think that if you figure out what your demographic audience resonates to the most, which platform, I think you should really hone down on that one and cross post everything to other platforms if you have them, but with a different goal. Knowing that if you decide that Instagram is where you want to put all your work and effort in, then do it on that. But you already have all that content. Why not cross post it to the other platforms? Because you don't want to leave those other platforms just lonely with nothing there. So I think that's one way that you can cross post. But knowing and keeping in mind and having being realistic about the goals that you have for the other platforms that you're not putting as much time and effort into.
Great point. Great
Yeah.
point.
With the other thing, oh God, there's several. But I think, and I am surprised sometimes that I still see this, but I guess, I've been on this for quite a few years, and it's not easy for a lot of people because there's people who I work with who just say, I don't know how to post a reel. I don't know what a trending audio is. Like they just don't know, and that's okay. But I feel like if you're going to start doing it, just do a little bit of research at least. And one of the most important things is if you're going to do an audio and where it has the voice, right? And you have to mimic your lips to sync your lips to the audio, make
Mhm.
sure that they're really in sync.
Mm.
If you're going to post a reel and you want it to be vertical, make sure that it's not horizontal because then you have all that black on
Yeah.
the outsides of it, and that's one of the things that I am very detailed about, and I'm like, it just doesn't look professional. Then I would say if your video is horizontal, then you should put it in a carousel post. Make the first post your video or a static post, and then following up with the video. That just looks more clean, more professional. It's little things like that. It's paying attention to detail. um, and then the other thing is your caption. So captions are very, very important. And I think a lot of people are still not putting a lot of thought into them. So, and with ChatGPT now, it's very easy to just say, hey, write me up a caption, right? And then they copy and paste. But one, it's a robot that's still doing it. So you have to be really careful. You can't just copy and paste. You have to read it. You have to make sure that everything is accurate. Um, and you have to write it in your own person. You can't just copy and paste the caption. I see a lot of people doing that. And you can tell when it's copy and paste. So you have to take that as a draft and then make it into your own caption.
Yeah, that's so good. And just like one quick chat GPT, because we could go down this whole rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But, if you have a couple posts that you've written, or you have a blog post or an article you've written, and it is in your voice, like, somebody who knows you reads it, they can actually like hear your voice saying it just like that. You
Yeah.
can, load that in to chat GPT and then say, based on this voice, write me a post about blah, 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 and make it, X long.
Yeah.
And that's a good start, because then you're feeding it. This is my voice. Here's how it should sound.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to kind of play around with ChatGPT. I spend a lot of time on it sometimes because, again, and maybe this is my weakness. I don't know. I am very, very like, I don't like this. I like this. I don't like that. So I'm constantly like, no, I don't. I have to change it. And then I end up changing. And then I'm like, oh my God, I changed it too much. So, yeah.
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 Perfectionist. Yes.
Yeah, I guess.
I hear that, which is exactly who you want working for you. So this is wonderful for me, but yes,
Yes.
your daughter, not so much. Okay.
Yes, seriously.
What about, is it possible to make posting frequency mistakes? Do people do too much or too little? What would you say?
Just in general,
Yeah.
of anything, I think people who promote their business too much. And what I mean by that is all they're doing is talking about their business. And it's not bad, but also you have to show them that it's not a business behind the account, the profile, that there's an actual person. That's why it's very important. And I don't know if you've heard this, on your Instagram profile picture, it should be a person. Unless you already have gained a community and you have 1 million followers, and yeah, you can do whatever you want. But in the beginning, you should have a picture of yourself, like your professional picture or whatever you want to put on there. That's you, rather than your logo in the beginning, because people, for some reason, tend to just do better with seeing a person behind every post and rather a business.
Yeah. Well,
Mentally, yeah.
people do business with people, not with the business. So
Right.
super important. Okay. This has been gold. I mean, we could probably spend another hour, but
Yeah,
I am
there's so
going
much.
to get you going. And I've got 3 more just rapid fire questions about
Okay.
social media. I'm going to have you give me your best quick answer.
Oh, I'm nervous.
Oh no. These are easy, I think. And for listeners, I think these are questions, especially when we're talking about Instagram, that it is, gosh, I'm not sure I know that. And if that's you, hopefully you get some clarity. So number 1, how many hashtags are best right now?
You have to be careful with the hashtags. I would say between 15 and 20. You don't want to overcrowd your caption because that looks unprofessional and some of them may not even work.
Perfect. Where do the hashtags go? Is there a better place, in the post directly or in the comments?
I prefer in the post directly because people find that easier when they're reading your caption rather than if they don't read your comments, then they're lost.
Perfect. And last but not least, how often do you want to look at insights on all platforms? I think we hit that one, but let's nail this one again.
I think that depends on how hard, if you will, you're going into your social media. So if you're somebody who's starting off with 1 post a week, once a month, I guess that could be it. But if you're somebody who are starting with 5 posts a week, then you should be at least once a week, you should be reading your insights.
Last but not least, how important, scale from 1 to 10, well, 0 to 10, so you know which is bottom and which is top.
Mhm.
How important are stories?
10. Oh my
Ah,
God, stories
okay.
could be even more important than what you post on your feed because stories is what's going to build the community for you. So if you're not posting on your stories, then you're really coming off as just a business who's posting videos because everybody else is posting videos. And yeah, stories is the most important thing you can do for your platform because that's how you're going to build that community and become a person itself and not just an account and a profile.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Okay. Everybody's going to want to chase you down, girl. So remember who loves you first. Okay. So
Of course.
where is the best place for listeners to find you and connect?
I prefer both of my Instagram accounts, my personal and my business, because I'm constantly working on both. So I'm posting on both the same stuff. So my business account, my Instagram is social outfit marketing, and my personal one is Yesenia LG _
Sweet. And what is your website? Where can they go and see more there?
My website is under construction, but
Oh,
it is
okay.
social. Yeah, but it's socialoutfitmarketing.com.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So this is a perfect meta example. So you're going to go to her social media account to see what she's doing, but you're going to go and watch what she's doing, right? And
Yes.
take notes. That's so very cool. And then, in order to work with her, here's where I'm going to send you guys. So, fitnessmarketingmastery.com/social outfit marketing. And you can't have her more than I can have her. I'm just going to say that right at once. So, just we cleared that up. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for being here. That was awesome.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Deborah.
Okay, everybody. So, if there was a question, I'm sure there was, that you wish I would have asked her, I know where she lives. I can find her. We can get her back. So, we could jump on a live one day when she's over here, in fact. But I want you to go to fitnessmarketingmastery.com/social media marketing strategy. And you heard it from her. She's in the boat with you as an entrepreneur. She understands where you're coming from, where you're juggling all the things. And this is just like the need to delegate. Are there things that somebody else in your business can do better than you and potentially in less time than you? That's when you know it's time to hand it off. So show notes again, fitnessmarketingmastery.com/social media marketing strategy. And what are you waiting for? The world needs you right now more than ever.